What's going on, everybody? Simple back at it like I'm checking my height. Today we're checking out how the Dutch got their cycling paths. Shout out to Bicycle Dutch for this video. If you guys enjoy it, definitely make sure you head over to the creators channel and show them some support. If you guys want to get your requests up here as well, make sure you check out the Google form down in the description below. Definitely make sure you guys head up the Creator Consortium. That's where we're filming live reactions like basically all day long. I don't know. We hang out in there constantly. Alright, let's do this.
The Netherlands has the world's largest number of cyclists, but it is also the safest place in the world to cycle. That is largely because of the perfect cycling infrastructure that can be found throughout the country.
And I just want to say this is definitely one of my favorite parts about it. Like, aside from how you guys are Atlanteans, like I love how much effort is put into protecting pedestrians who want to use less emission and leave less of a carbon footprint. I think that is very respectable, for sure.
How did the Dutch get this network of high-quality cycle paths? Some think, including many Dutch themselves, that cycle paths have always been there. That is only partly true. Yes, there were some cycle paths.
See, that's what
it's
like in America right here.
And today, narrow, of poor surface, dangerous, or even absent.
What you see here, how it used to be there for you guys, is exactly how it is here still. Like, we've just gotten to this point.
At junctions and not connected. And cycle paths weren't really necessary. Cyclists outnumbered other traffic by far. After World War II, everything changed. The Dutch had to rebuild their country, and they became incredibly wealthy. From 1948 to 1960, the average income got up by 44%. And by 1970, it was a staggering 222% more.
That's incredible.
People could now afford expensive goods, and from 1957 on especially, this led to many more cars in the streets. Streets of mostly old cities that were not built for cars. So buildings were demolished to make room for the car. Even some of the old cycling infrastructure was removed. City squares were turned into car parks.
That's America.
And new developments had huge roads for motorized traffic. The daily travel distance went from 3.9 kilometers in 1957 to 23.2 kilometers in 1975. But this progress came at a terrible cost. Cycling was marginalized, it decreased by 6% every year, and 3,300 lives were lost in 1971 alone.
That's insane. See, that's the thing. We have a lot of traffic deaths and a lot of pedestrian deaths. And, I mean, I've said it in another video. There's probably at least a cyclist a year that gets hit in my hometown. You know, and it's very sad. It's just people that don't pay attention when they drive, unfortunately. Cycling, you don't really have a choice but to pay attention, or else you're going to get hurt, right? Driving, it seems like you can be invincible.
Over 400 of these deaths were children under the age of 14. The slaughter of kids caught people on the streets.
That's incredibly sad.
Stop the Child Murder called for safer streets for children as pedestrians and cyclists. Their calls were heard. Especially when in 1973, the first oil crisis halted the country. The then Prime Minister told the people of the Netherlands that this crisis was life-changing, that they would have to change their ways and be less dependent on energy, but that was possible without a decrease in the quality of life. Policies to encourage cycling fitted perfectly in that picture. The car-free Sundays to save oil were a reminder to people of what the cities looked like without cars. Around this time, the first city centers were made car-free, permanently, and the protests continued. Mass motorization killed people, the cities, and the environment. Mass cycling tours through the cities of the Netherlands and smaller protests in favor of cycling facilities
That's incredible, though. All of these
through the cities of
people.
the Netherlands.
Look at that. It's just remarkable. And the thing is, like, I wish it could be like that around here. Like, I can ride a bike to get to the places in my town, but to get from here to the next town is miles and miles. And not that it would take a long time, but it's definitely very dangerous. There's barely area to walk. Most of the areas, actually, there's barely an area to pull over off to the side of the road. So I wish, like, this is remarkable, though, how many people stood up for what was, to change something that was happening. I mean, that's a lot of deaths that are happening, and I totally stand behind it too. I wish something like that, I don't know why we don't protest for bicycling lanes, honestly. Protest for everything else.
And smaller protests in favor of cycling facilities created an
People here are
awareness
lazy, I
that
think.
eventually changed thinking about transport policies. In the mid-1970s, municipalities started experimenting with complete and safe cycle routes away from traffic. Financed by the national government, the first cycle routes were created from scratch in Tilburg and The Hague. In retrospect, they could be seen as the start of the country's modern cycling policies. Cycling increased in a spectacular way, in The Hague by 30 to 60% and in Tilburg by 75%.
Think about all the people
Build
that
it
can't
and they will
afford
come
to drive a
proved true
car.
in the Netherlands. So
It's the
to
only
sum
mode
up,
of
what caused
transportation.
the changes
I'd be
in the
doing it
Netherlands?
too.
There were the problems of
And I'm sure people ride bikes very long distances. So I guess it wouldn't be that much different for me to ride to the nearest city around me. Like I said, it just comes down to safety, I guess, at the end.
cities that couldn't cope with the increasing traffic, that led to demolitions and to a public outrage over the amount of space handed over to motorized traffic. An intolerable number of traffic deaths that again led to mass public protests. An oil crisis and an economic crisis that led to gas shortages and high prices of energy. The solution was found in the political will on a national and municipal level, with both decision makers and planners to deal with this situation, by turning away from car-centric policies and making way for alternative transport, like cycling. Cycling is now an integral part of transport policies.
Highly commendable, for sure.
And what success did the protesters have? The child deaths went down from over 400 to 14 last year. This street
And that's probably
got its
crossing the
cycle
street
path.
accidentally or something. Somebody not paying attention. Driving off the side of the road or something stupid, like
This bridge didn't
complete
keep its cycle lane.
accident type stuff.
Instead, it got a cycle path. This painted cycle lane became a permanent cycle path,
That's
and
awesome.
cars were totally banned from here.
That's
it is the now
awesome.
famous site of the I Amsterdam sign. Earlier, also a site of one of the mass protests.
Yeah, that's where all the people were laying down. There it
the
is.
protesters would have been a lot more comfortable lying down there today.
Hey, at least they
The
made it
Netherlands'
comfortable for
problems
them, right?
were and are not unique. Their solutions shouldn't be that either.
It's definitely commendable and very respectable on how they deal or dealt with all of these people being struck by cars, right? They figure, okay, why make people stop riding? We can't afford oil anyway. Bikes. Like, it just makes sense. Everything you guys do just seems to make so much sense. I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought about this one down in the comments below. Like I said in the beginning, if you guys enjoy this, make sure you go and support the content creator. Definitely check out one of the other two videos floating around before you take off, and I'll catch you on the next one.